don't remember because I remember my father would get home from dinner or work every night at 6 and my mother would have dinner ready.
Oh.
What do we do on weekends? I don't know. They usually went out. Maybe we had pizza. I don't even remember people delivering pizza. Do we even have pizza delivery? We must have.
I don't think we ever did.
I don't feel like I ever did. I
I
must
think
have.
we did a couple times. Every time that we ordered food from somewhere was a very unique time. Like it was like a small amount of time. It wasn't like we didn't ever do that. Like we always had food from my mom. My mom cooked.
Yeah. Yeah, my
Period.
mom cooked too.
So there
But-
was no ordering.
And then when there became frozen dinners, we had that.
We didn't ever had that.
Like
It was
I
all
had that. Once they imagined that, I had a lot of that. We had the Hungry Mans and the Benihanas and all kinds of frozen, but not for dinner. I'm saying for when they went out. Not she didn't serve us that if she was there. Never. She would always make something.
Yeah, it was always made.
Yeah, same.
I
Well,
don't
hello
have.
everyone. All zero
Hi.
of you. Oh, there is someone. Hello.
All right. So let us go. I do have a heart out, so I can
At
finish.
2 or when?
Yeah, 2:00 would be good because I have a 2:15 and
Same. I have a 3 o'clock and yeah.
So
And I need to leave the house for it. So okay. Hello.
hello, hello.
How's everyone doing? It's wonderful to be here today on this gray and terrible December afternoon.
Ah!
It is, isn't it?
Yes.
It is gray here. It should be. Is it
Patrick Keller?
Keller, I love that you're retired. I know that sounds terrible, but you are the consistent, we may as well just make him part of the show. He is here at every recording come hell or high water. And
yes,
and I have to say, you deserve some kind of special treatment for that. Why don't you just let us know what you'd like? Because we know it's not love and affection. So what can we give you?
My lips need
that would make you happy and feel recognized for being our very
loyalist, recognized,
our loyalist listener and watcher,
and feel recognized. Oh,
what did I say?
No, I'm just saying. No, that's what you said. I'm just saying it makes
so funny. I thought you were saying I said it wrong. I didn't know what I couldn't remember what I said.
Oh my God, what happened to me?
We have so much cool shit to talk about today. I'm super excited. Because we're going over a podcast marketing survey. Oh, before we do though, love and respect is all he needs. Do you think someday we'll meet Patrick Keller? I hope so. Where does he live? Do you remember?
Well, we're not going to out his living location right now when we're talking and live streaming.
Patrick,
he can
just tell us what
scoop
city you're in. I mean, I'd like to know if we're ever going to be anywhere near you enough to give you a hug or at least have lunch or something. It's like a 10-year friendship that never gets closure or not
never
closed.
gets closure.
Closed, but you know what I mean. Never mind. I'll stop talking now. Here's what I did want to discuss something with you though.
Is this part of the show?
Yes, it is.
Okay, well then we need to open the show and do all the things.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and get the recording sitch.
Yeah, I guess I should hit record is what you're saying?
That is what I'm saying. So 3, 2, 1. Press record.
It hath been pressed.
Okay. Make sure. Oh, crap.
So he lives kind of northy. So, I don't know if we'll ever get that far north, but maybe. Okay. Are you ready to start? I can start it? Or no?
Hold on. I have to I had to stop my recording and
do you need me to stop or no?
I'll just leave this again. Let's do a lineup here. I'm going to say 3, you say 2, and I'll say 1. Okay?
Yep.
3,
2,
1. Okay.
Why did that feel so non-repetitive? Like it was like
I just wanted to make sure that John could line up the things because I had to change the settings. Okay.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 413. I am your co-host Jessica Kupferman. Sorry if I'm shouting. With me, as always, my lovely co-host wearing the Vintage She Podcast shirt today, Elsie Escobar. I love that shirt. It is
I
I
know.
kind of miss those days
It's
where I just slapped
OG.
a pair of headphones on a font and called it a logo.
Actually, this is
It's
probably one of the best executions of a
of a podcast
a
logo.
of a podcast logo that
Yeah.
I've seen ever. And also
Yeah.
the
I
way
miss
that
it.
the way that these headphones are laying on top of the P, for those of you who can't see, I can't do this weirdly in my
We can see
because
it.
I'm
I
here.
can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing because it's not so cheesy like there are now. This is not a cheesy design. It's
No.
not. It's
Wait,
super
are you saying
cute.
that it's our that this is cheesy? Our regular logo is cheesy?
No, I'm saying the way that the headphone. Did you know? I'm talking about the
I like
headphones.
the headphone. I know, I know.
Yes, because there's everybody uses headphones and microphones for
Yeah, mine's the
podcasting
best
things,
one.
and they all look really like clip
Flat.
art.
It's a
This is
flat
not
look.
that.
Yeah.
This is super. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. It's
Yeah.
the way that it's done. It's awesome.
Thank
So
you.
anyway, it's very good.
Thank you very much for your compliment. Hi everyone. We are going to have some fun today. We're going to talk about the marketing. Hold on, I don't want to say it wrong. The podcast marketing trends 2023 survey from the Podcast Marketing Academy. Before we do though, I just want to know, do you feel that you have oppositional defiance? Yes
I
or
feel
no?
that I am very on the cusp of it, and it does pop up a lot.
Have you ever
Um,
been getting along and everything is hunky dory? I mean, I know you have children, so that can't always be the case. But like, have you ever
mhm.
just been wandering around in your life and like everything is fine, but you just need to rebel against something? Like,
I
like
don't have I don't have that
no,
need. No.
I think I wonder if this is so. I was feeling this very strongly last night, and maybe it was because my in-laws were here. And when you have in-laws visit you, at least for me, if they say something you don't agree with, this particular set of in-laws, if you don't agree, it can go badly. You have to be
Okay.
very careful what you say. So like I'm never argumentative, but I do say, "Oh yeah, well here's what happened and that's why." Like for example, my brisket didn't come out again. And my
Um,
sister-in-law was like, "What happened to your brisket? Why are we having these issues?" Like she
um,
says we're not on the same brisket journey.
okay.
But I was trying to explain to her that her mom keeps getting in my head because every time I make a brisket, she comes down and tells me I'm doing it all wrong. Wrong pan, wrong temperature, wrong cut of meat, wrong way to do it, wrong sauce. And so
Okay.
she has mind fucked me into not being able to make a brisket. And it was okay. Only half of it was perfect. The other half was like could have been better. So anyway, at the end of this evening, I was like, God, I really need to have an argument with someone. Like I just need it. I just need to be like, there was just so much to be let out. And then I thought this has to be oppositional defiance because someone told me what to do all day and I
Oh,
ignored it. I didn't stick up for myself because really there's no point. Like I'm not saying I let someone trample on me. I'm saying if you know someone well enough, you know that like there's no point in arguing the same point over and over. It's like wearing like for her it's like wearing a jacket if it's cold out. If you don't wear
yeah.
a jacket when it's cold out, you may as well just dig your own grave and throw yourself in it because you're going to die shortly. That's like
Hmm.
how,
Yeah.
like Scott too. If you're not wearing a jacket, oh, and if you have a wet head, I mean, just let me etch the tombstone while you're out, because death is imminent. Death is imminent if you go out with a wet head. So, yeah, and I mean, it's not that I have to be the one to tell everyone what to do all the time. It's just that sometimes I just want to be like, I don't know. It made me want to shave my head. That's how rebellious I was feeling. And I just wanted to know like what are some tips when you guys like if you have oppositional define like a lot of my career and the things that I'm best at involve bucking a system, going against the grain, breaking rules, giving people permission to do things outside of normal societal boundaries like podcasting about this or like that
Hmm.
is my one of my greatest skills, but it also was biting me in the ass because like I really get along well with my husband and my kid acted so nicely all day yesterday. So like I had no one to be like, just stop it. But at the end of the day, I was like twitching, I tell you. Like I couldn't.
I don't know if that's, I think, well,
Have you ever felt that? Like
I
you
don't
just
ever have like the need to, like, I don't like the way that you're consciously calling yourself out. I've never seen that. But with me, the way that it shows up is I hate it when people, like, I stop, the opposition comes in the middle of somebody else's thought. If you're and I do this to you all the time. Like, you're explaining something to me, and then I will say, no, 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 not like that. Where you're actually saying what I'm gonna say, but I fight, like, I fight pre even the thought being done. So I
But
usually,
I want to hear what you have to say. I don't consider that to be a thing to rebel against.
no, but
Because go ahead.
that's what I'm
Sorry.
saying. Like, I'm oppositional in that sense. Like, if Fran says, we're leaving at 6:00. I don't ever do this, but I'm just
As
I'm
an
doing something
example, right.
basic as an example. He'll say, like, we're leaving at 6:00, and then I'll go like, well, no, 6:00. Did you not think about
Yeah.
4?
Yeah.
And he's like, I did, because of X, Y, and Z. And then I go, oh, okay. Like, my first instinct is to say no. Like, no. Okay. No.
Dear Scott. Yeah.
That's what
I'm also tired of hearing no.
I'm a no
all the
first.
time.
Even though
So-
I'm going to say yes, I you know what it is? It's like, I want to be, it's a control thing. Like, I want to be ready to, like, if I'm on the horse, I'm the one that wants to go, let's go, let's gallop, versus I don't want somebody to hit my horse and have me go before I'm ready.
Well, I think most people don't like that. So that's the no thing is exactly what I picked a fight about. I chose to pick a fight about the fact that, like, anytime there's an idea brought to my husband, first thing he says is no, even if it's plausible. He doesn't want to think about it. He doesn't want to consider options. He just says no. So this is what I chose to get mad about. I was like, you can't just be the no guy unless you have other ideas. I said, you can't just never have an idea of what to do. Like, I'm the one that thinks up shit we do on the weekends or has people over and makes plans with friends. Like, hi, Cheryl. I'm the one that does that stuff. So, like, it's annoying when you're always the one thinking up an idea and someone's like, no, we can't do it. No, there's not, like, as if I haven't thought of all the reasons why we couldn't.
Right.
Like, I'm not stupid. I'm not just like, hey, let's go tattoo our elbows today. Like, I've thought, it's like going to a museum. He'll have to say no because it's raining. It's like, you don't think I've thought of that? Anyway, this is what it felt very oppositional for no reason. Like, that's not really an argument that you have with someone, but sometimes we're just getting along so well, I can't take it.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you about that one, because
I'm trying to fight with him. I just need, like, some push and pull sometimes. That makes no sense.
I don't like it. I don't like the confrontation part. I don't like having, and my resistant isn't when my no's come out. Excuse me. When my no's come out, they are not always aggro no's, like, rah! Usually it's like a quiet underscore. Like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to tell you, and I'm not going to do it.
That's passive aggressive, but yeah. I mean, you and I don't even have any arguments. Like, we've had all our arguments. We've argued about parenting. We've argued about traveling. We've argued about living on a mountain. We've argued about living with my in-law. Like, we have had all the arguments. I mean, if there was anything to argue about, we've had it. We've said it. We've done it. What is left? I know you so well and have accepted every single part of you at this point after 10 years that, like, I can't challenge you on anything because I know exactly why you do everything.
But then I will also push back on all the things. Even when it's
sometimes
I'll still push back on it all. But anyway, it's regardless though. But yes.
Anyway, if you guys are watching or listening and you have an idea as to how to like deal with unbridled oppositional defiance, then let me know, because I do want to move on to today's topic. But I just thought it was interesting because, all day long we tell ourselves to, like, push ahead, move forward, be brave. But, like, if there's nothing to rebel against, like,
Yeah.
You know, like I mean, and I'm not saying like, oh, there's plenty to rebel against in the world. I'm not talking about that. There's plenty for me to argue about in the world, but in my own little life, I need like we're not going to take it single day, or like I get itchy.
Oh my
Anyway,
gosh,
all
I
right.
don't. I just
Okay,
want
okay,
to
okay, okay.
chill.
Oh, Patrick says retire. I'm into that. I wish I could. And 2, medication. I mean, maybe I just need to have that looked at, I guess. I don't know. I do take medication for all kinds of things. Not really. It's anxiety, depression, ADHD. It's the Jew trio. Is anxiety, depression,
The
and ADHD.
Jew trio.
Yeah. The only thing I'm missing is
Well,
like a
wait.
probiotic, because Jews also typically
Wait.
have terrible stomach issues. But because of anxiety usually, and depression and everything else. Go ahead, you were saying?
Oh my God. No, I can't. You can't claim it. Can you claim it to be that? Because I think everybody has a little bit of that. Not everybody. Like, I'm not going to say like all of us have that trio, but yeah, I mean, that's a thing.
I have always heard jokes about Jews having asthma, about Jews having, because we have big noses, postnasal drip all the time. And I've also heard, every Jewish woman has got an allergy to something they don't know what it is. Like my mom at every vacation would be sick to her stomach over what she said was garlic. Who knows what it could be? It could have just been IBS. It could have been, I mean, every Jew I know has stomach issues. It's true at some point or another. I mean, it doesn't mean it. I hear what you're saying. I shouldn't
I mean, I don't.
stereotype, but it is a common stereotype, whether you know it or not, I think. Anyway, okay. I wouldn't call this a tech tip. So what would you call it? The news
For
trend?
what?
Because I like when John does like a jingle.
Oh, no, this is like, oh, what would this be? I don't even know. I don't think we have, like, I guess news. Yeah, this could be news.
News from the Podcast Marketing Academy.
Yes.
And that is the
Jeremy
marketing
Enns.
trends. Oh, Jeremy Enns. Sorry.
Jeremy Enns. It's his baby.
Marketing trends of 2023. You know who else does a really good marketing trends of 2023? If you get addicted to this and you need more, you should go to socialmediaexaminer.com, because they usually have a really big survey where they interview all kinds of social media advisors and managers and schedulers and ask them what they're doing in their companies and what they plan to do. And it's really interesting. But this is, we're talking about podcasters right now. Okay, off we go.
Yeah. But this is probably one of the first times that I've seen something like this happen for podcasting, because a question that comes up all the time about podcasting is, what are the best practices in marketing your podcast? What are the best practices, or what should I be doing to grow my audience and all that kind of stuff? And we all have great ideas. I mean, we can rattle off all kinds of ways for you to market your podcast, like the thing that you do. There's so many different ways. But what we've never really looked at as an industry is it's that transference between what you're doing marketing wise and whether or not it is working, as in growing your audience and or whatever the goal is that you have for your podcast. Mm-hmm. Nobody really knows that. Like, there's no definitive data that shows if you, let's say, post 5 tweets a day with a link to what, it's gonna get you more listeners. That's not there. And so Jeremy created this amazing survey. It was very in-depth, by the way. I think when I took it, it took about 10 minutes or more to put stuff in. It was very key. The questions that were asked were very specific about marketing practices, about size of the audience, money invested, size of your podcast, how long you've had it. Like, so that he really aligned the context. And another thing that I love about it is that he highlights the smaller podcast, and he also got a lot of information from those really big podcasts out there. Mm-hmm. And so he was able to even look at correlations between maybe the amount of money that was being invested, teams, and download numbers, to see what the difference was between those larger versus the smaller. And that is so good because we always go like, but that's only for the big guys, right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
only works for the big podcasters. And so we've got data that
I mean,
shows
yeah,
that
which is
stuff there.
it's an easy thing to say to blow off what's not working for you or what you think you're doing right, even though you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But I think one of the, what would be really great is, do you want to share the screen so that
Okay,
people can
sure.
see?
Bum,
That way
bum,
people can
bum,
see, because this
bum.
first graph that's on there is so like, whoa.
Not this one.
No, the
She
graph.
means this, not this one.
No, dude.
So there were 521 respondents with a total of 300 million downloads across all 521 and over 30,000 episodes across all 521 respondents. Okay. They divided the segments into over 10K, up to 10K, and up to 1K. Is this the first one you wanted to
Yes,
see?
that's what I wanted to show you.
Yep.
The downloads per episode per month, because you can definitely see
Yo.
that there's like so many more. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
people keep always like, I don't know if I'm doing so good. I don't know if I should, continue. Like I'm not getting the downloads. Look at this graph. Like,
only 4 out of 500 people are getting over 20,000.
Yeah.
And this is even pretty 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, between 10 and 20. It's not a lot, you guys. It means that it's not a lot.
It means it's not a lot. I know. Look at like the 100 to 400 400 to 40%, right? That's the place that you need to be kind of paying attention to. And that's why if you have, it's whenever I guess the key thing that I want everybody that is into podcasting or getting into podcasting to recognize that when you are producing your content, you cannot have expectations that you are going to have a launch like the Barbie launch.
Barbie.
Yeah, because what I feel happens is, how do I get, like, what do I need to do to get my launch? Like when I put my podcast out, like, how am I going to grow my audience? And they're thinking they're going to do Barbie. They're thinking they're going to hit that bar. Like that's how they're going to get
Barbenheimer.
They're going to do the Barbenheimer like launch, and everybody's going to be talking about it, and it's going to be just like that. And they don't realize that the majority of people, it's going to be like that YouTube video that just popped out of nowhere. And you're like, oh,
yeah,
it's not going to. And, the Barbie people have been planning for the launch. There's a team behind that. Whereas most of us are like, it's just us. It's just us thinking of like, thank God I published an episode today versus what are you going to be publishing in, Q5 or Q5?
Q5, which doesn't
Q5,
exist.
exactly.
There's now more pressure to post in Q5 than ever before.
Anyway, so I think that that's one of the key components there.
Okay.
So I don't think we need to go through the methodology. I'm like, that's a little bit kind of boring.
This is interesting though. 82.5% were creators, only 2.4 were executives. 4.3 were actual marketing professionals. 5.8 were marketing, production, or support agencies.
That's great.
5% are freelance. So the majority are just podcasters.
Yes, the majority are just podcasters or people who are helping people produce a podcast and or market the podcast.
Right.
Okay.
Now, majority of those creators have a podcast to either build an audience or to grow their personal brand and authority. So that's like almost half. So that's half, right?
Right. That tracks.
Yeah.
That tracks to all the things there.
This here, 25%. This is their business model. So 25% coach, 20% freelancer, 13% advertising, and so on.
And if you think about that, there is a lot of like the coach and consultant, freelance and service providers. So that's like something that people are going to be hiring you to do, right?
Right.
I'm not sure what 13%. Oh, advertising. So the 13% is those folks who are banking on making money from their
Through advertising.
podcasts
That's right.
through advertising, the
Mhm.
end. And we, the nonprofit, that's a big one there. It looks like agency. What does that mean? Oh, like meaning getting your podcast out and hoping people hire your agency to work with them? Is that what that
8% of people have an agency as their business model. So they might be, it might not be any of the creators. It might just be someone who's housing a bunch of shows so they can sell advertising. Although I don't know why that's different from this. Why that's that
Yeah.
different from the 13% that are doing advertising. I don't know. But he also, they didn't split the people who create versus the people who support creators. So that could just be that they're support
Oh,
and not creation,
right, right. Okay.
right?
Um,
Okay. Keep going or no?
yes. So we have no. Then there's the audience funded other. I don't
Oh,
know what other might be.
I was
Digital
wondering what
product
that was because
sales
it's high.
and other smaller little things right
I
there.
think
So
other
you
could
can
be membership, merch. I don't see any of that on here.
right. And then part of it is this is based on 392 answers. So I think that there's a lot of maybe that it is where is it? DTC physical products. I don't know what exactly
Direct
that is.
to consumer, which could be like TikTok shop.
It could be that, or it could be that merch. Like, I mean, all of those things come under some of
Yeah, that's probably
this.
true. I guess that's true.
And as of what I've seen too, not one person lately, the ones that are successful that I've seen, the ones that are thriving now, they do at least 3 of these.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how they're doing it. It's not one. There's very few that do it off of the one thing. But
Mm-hmm.
for most, it's at least 3 of ways to make money. Okay, so yes, podcasting experience.
The average is 4.3 with
That's
7
pretty
years
good,
experience being the ones that get the most downloads.
which would make sense.
And the least amount of experience, the ones that get the smallest amount of downloads. That makes sense, but I don't know. That might be just a coincidence. What do you think?
I think it makes sense because think about it this way. If you've been podcasting like you and I have, how many podcast episodes do we have?
413.
Okay. Well, somebody who just started a weekly podcast is probably going to have around 100.
Yeah, but we've been
So
pretty consistent.
just in that's what I'm saying. Just in that,
Yeah.
in making sure, yeah, that you have all of that time to build an audience. So the longer you've been around, the bigger your audience is.
Mm-hmm.
That's really just what it's showing on here. So anyway.
Neat.
Oh,
Okay.
marketing proficiency. This was one that I really
Oh,
loved that
interesting.
he asked
Mm-hmm.
because it's something that I think a lot of podcasters don't really. I think this shows it.
Yeah, they don't consider themselves skilled at marketing, which
Correct.
makes sense to me because why should you? Just because you know how to do a show about ghosts doesn't mean you're a marketing whiz. Marketing is a skill people go to actual college for. So yeah,
Yep.
I think this makes
Yep.
good. At least it's good to know that they know that they're not born with the ability to know how to do marketing.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right.
Totally.
Unlike
So
other
let's
content
see.
creation, most data is not publicly acceptable. So we've assembled a series of marketing benchmarks we've been waiting years to have ourselves. Okay.
All
Now
right.
this part is okay. So the
So you can
average
see
show.
what.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
The average show gets 421 downloads with an average of 1,425 per month. This is the average, though, not including those little shows and the big ones.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's been accurate? I don't even know if that's accurate.
I think it's not. It doesn't matter whether or not it's not accurate or not. This is a survey.
Yeah, and then true, and then the average amount of episodes published are between 4 and 5 because it's all like 4.46, 4.68.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So their takeaways, they say there's a dip in September for downloads in October, which goes against the common notion summer's the slow season. Our suspicion, people would have so much going on in September that podcast gets pushed down the list. That is probably true. Wait, where else? Annual trend of per month aligns with our respondents' self-reporting, with the average person saying they published more this year than the previous year. Interesting. But where do we see? Okay, so here's the whole year. Oh, I see.
Yeah, every
Okay, so for
month.
downloads, yeah, there's a big dip in September. It's not that big. It's 20 people. It's
Yeah,
not
but
that
it
big.
goes,
This looks
but it
big.
goes up and down. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
December to January, that has everything to do with health. People will start to listen to fitness podcasts. I got to get my shit together, and they'll start listening to everything. How to be a better person, how to have better mental health, how to have better physical health, how to draw, how to paint, how to be a good parent.
Yep.
And then,
all the things. It all starts
and then
there.
Look how low it is in February. Fuck that shit. That's what we say right here.
Yeah.
No, thank you. We're done. Bye-bye. Okay. All right, moving right along.
The month over month podcast growth rate is the thing that I really want to talk about. This
isn't growth. This is
just... No. When you keep going.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. How does the typical show grow? Of all the questions we had going in, this is the biggest. The growth rate allows you to calculate how many new people you can expect to bring in each month, which allows you to assess the effectiveness of your marketing, make better.
Yeah. And this is something that when I work with people, I generally will tell them, I would say 3%, like month over month. That was amazing. Like you were doing amazing. You are doing amazing. That's a good, it is, goal to look for. That's kind of where I was gearing up whenever I work with people. And I'm just so excited to be able to see this in front of me, because it helps me know what that is, or it helps me be able to back up that for anybody. But I want you to look at the context that he wrote on this too, that it says, so a percentage point, you're going to look at that and go, I don't even know what that means. So if you have, and I love that he put the context down here, if you have 500 downloads per episode per month, let's say that's your podcast, that means that in order for you to grow 1.62% for the next month, you would have 10 more downloads. Okay. That's it, y'all. Yeah. 10 more downloads. That's it. Month over month. If you're doing well and you're being consistent. So don't think that all of a sudden you're going to be like the most famous podcaster ever if this is the median month over month growth rate, the median when everything's going okay.
How many of you just threw your pencils across the room because you can only grow at 1.1%, almost 2% a month? It's probably very frustrating to hear.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And also,
there are other ways to grow, though.
Correct. But I think that the other thing is, too, the bigger you are, the less you grow. So the bigger, especially look at there's a little thing here, guys, that it's like a little blue and it says 0.57%.
Oh, yes, you're right.
So that little 0.57% is for those that are getting more than 10,000 downloads per episode per month.
Yeah.
So that means that the growth, the month over month growth of that, it's very small.
Yeah.
So when your teams are going like, well, we need to just be growing, blah, 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 and you're trying to justify the existence of your podcast that is getting over 10,000 downloads per episode per month, you must be able to turn around and go, y'all, we cannot guarantee what you're asking for because it's not going to happen if we're measuring downloads only.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's not going to happen. I don't know what story people are telling. I also don't know what I hope that consultants out there and coaches out there aren't telling people whatever their expectations are in terms of what this podcast is going to do for you. But you've got to step into creating a podcast, sustaining a podcast, and marketing your podcast with eyes wide open, and to recognize that the growth that you're going to be experiencing isn't whatever you are thinking in your own head. It's way less than that. And you're going to have, in terms of downloads. So you got to do
doesn't
some.
even mean it won't help you achieve the goals you're trying to achieve.
Exactly.
It still will.
Yes, Jess. Yes, Jess.
You don't have to really worry about this. People are worried about this every day. You can worry a lot less about it because, like, for example, Stacey Sims, who's one of our speakers at She Podcast Live in Orlando, is going to teach everyone how to do sponsorship with a small show. She doesn't get more than like 250, 300 per episode, but she's got advertisers booked for the next like 2 years. But it does not affect your success rate.
It doesn't. And yeah, it does not affect your success rate. And the thing is, though, it's just, that's what I'm saying. It's like people, when they start to think about downloads per episode per month, they are 100% dreaming into the idea of, I'm going to get sponsors now. And it's just going to be turnkey. Mm-hmm. And I don't ever have to work. I'm just going to do my show and I'm not even going to have to work. And that is not, even if you do have the numbers to have a company and or support to be able to sell advertising on your show, that takes a lot of work. I think that Jess can tell you that. Managing sponsors, making sure you get the reports to them, making sure that you're doing the right talking points, making sure that you're managed. Like, it's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing. Yep. It's hard. It can be hard work.
Yes.
It's like an additional job.
Yep.
Top of the job you already have of putting out your podcast. In fact, most people, when they start to get advertisers, this is around the time they go, I got to outsource something here.
Yes.
Is right when you start to get advertisers. So I always recommend the thing that you hate the most is the thing that you outsource. So like if you love editing, but you hate getting ads, find an agent or something, or join a network. If you like finding your own sponsors, but you hate editing, get an editor, get a producer, get someone else. But like, yeah, it adds a lot to an already steaming pile of things to do.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
Let's look at the annual growth rate here. So the annual growth rate, you can start to see there, the median is 21%. So your expectations of year over year growth, for the context for most of us who are, I'm looking at the smaller because that's the majority. Right. That's the majority
5,000 to 6,300. Right.
Yeah. So if it is a 5,000 downloads for the year, let's say you get for your show, you got 5,000 downloads for the year. Getting 21% growth rate year over year would be 6,350 downloads for the next year. So if you think about that growth, you can really start to understand where you fit, and you can assign the value of that number the appropriate value for what you're trying to achieve in podcasting. Mm-hmm. Because if that's like going to make you quit, then might as well do it now, y'all, because this isn't going to change.
Don't torture yourself. This is it.
Yeah, this is it. And
this is how it goes.
If you have other goals, because there's so many other things like Jess was talking about, there's so many other valuable points to doing a show. There's so much.
This has no bearing on your influence whatsoever.
Yes, absolutely. None. This is just showing you numbers so that you can make appropriate decisions based on what you need to present, sell, position yourself with, design a business around something that isn't necessarily download centric. Like there's so many different things that you can do for this, but that is something for you to kind of think about it. So do you want to look at the takeaway, Jess, and see what they said about the takeaway?
I do. I just had the hiccups all of a sudden.
Oh, no.
No, it's okay. I'm good. I think I'm good. Okay. The growth rate benchmarks are a little depressing. They say there is a bright side, which is that if you've been frustrated with the growth of your show, it's not just you. Yay. More than anything, these benchmarks reinforce the idea that cross-platform creators and marketers have known for a while, which is it's a challenging medium to build an audience. That's not to say no
Dun,
one's
dun,
figured out
dun.
how to grow, which is what we're getting into next. But
Yes.
but yeah, it's frustrating because it's not like it's not TikTok. There's no
Right. Correct.
yeah, nobody
Correct.
like in TikTok you can become famous because it'll just start serving you videos. Like there's no service that's like, you'll like this episode. What about this episode? Like it takes so much more mental power to listen. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be a slower grow because it's a slower I want to say accumulation. What's the word? When
Uh,
something is
uh,
being sunk
yeah.
into you.
I know that that's a
Acclamation, maybe?
no, no, no. It's I know what the word is. I say it. I know what
The
you're talking about.
the mental intake takes longer.
Yeah.
It requires more of your brain energy. Therefore, it's going to be moving on. I'm sorry. Oh my, look at this. Annual growth rate. Half our respondents managed to outperform the median. 1 in 5 doubled their downloads over a 1 year span. But if that's from 40 to 80, it's not that impressive. No offense.
Yeah, but still, though,
But
I mean, it is. If you look at those percentages, and now in terms of the likelihood, I think that you know, he calls it out what I mentioned before that there's that in fact the larger you grow the harder it is to keep growing. I think that
yeah,
that's something for you to think about,
true. Yes.
and the more likely you are to actually lose listeners, which is something that I've talked about a lot with a lot of folks as of late also,
Mhm.
because there's almost nothing that any one of us is still doing that we've always done, if you think about it that way, meaning that TV show
Yeah,
that you
that's
were
true.
really into, that, whatever new makeup you were using, you probably are using a different one.
Yeah.
There's a new, there's so many things that there are very few things that we're consistently doing still, and it usually is a little bit more meaningful to us. It's something that's very, very personal, and it is a commitment. Like, hopefully you're still in your kids' lives, or you're still talking to your parents, or things like that that are, I guess, the more consistent in life. But most of the time we stop doing those things. Like, we
Yeah.
usually go like, remember when I was really into Game of Thrones and all the TV shows, and then watch and reading all the books and listening to all those podcasts about Game of Thrones? Like, I'm not doing that anymore.
No, but yeah, all right. I hear you. Yep.
So why would we expect it's just gonna continue to growth? I think that's, especially in podcasting, those little dots. Like, there's a screen in the screen right now for those of you who are listening. There's like little dots that are all over the map. Like, if there's a bunch of little dots up and down in between, all clustered together, all by themselves on the corner, like, that's podcast growth. Um, you know, and I
Yeah.
like the way Patrick just said, I miss exciting days of everyone thinking they're way bigger than they are.
Yeah,
Truth
that's
hurts.
because IAB gave us a
Gave us
reality check.
Yeah, but I think that people believe that podcast growth is a straight, like, the graph is just one line slowly moving upward on one side, and that's
Yeah, it's
not the way.
not. No.
Podcast growth isn't like that. It's
In fact, we
peaks.
got 5,000 downloads on one episode last month, and I can't for the life of me figure out where they came from, why it was so many. Why was it that one episode? What did we even do? I have no clue.
Nothing. It just, that's why
It's
and you can't recreate. It's very
because
hard to
someone mentioned us
recreate.
somewhere, and there you go. That's
Yeah.
all,
It's
usually,
very
right?
hard to recreate that. And the whole point is, do they come back, right? Our whole point would have been, we got 5,000 downloads on that one episode, and they decided, oh my gosh, even if it was, you know, 10% of those people that wanted to then now subscribe and or follow
Mhm.
our show, you would have seen an overall rise. But usually it's just a toke. It's just a
A
toke.
toke.
It's just a toke. Okay.
Toked.
Um yeah, so let's see if what's another thing that I really wanted to look at? Cro-
Let's see. Hold on.
Cross platform.
68% grew their listenership by any amount. That's something.
Yeah, I think that
21% double.
I think that the
32.
cross-platform thingy-majigger, I think, would be really good because that's when people have the LinkedIns, the Instagrams, the Twitter, the X, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. Like,
Just
you know what
kidding.
I mean? To
Why don't
see.
we get into this cross-platform on it? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So no, I was just saying that in terms of the cross-platform audience sizes there, they interestingly in here it said of the 521 respondents, only one indicated that they were not active on any other marketing platforms, which means that
I wonder why.
the majority of them are active in a lot more, right? So there is supplementary content platforms that you have, and that's how part of that starts to go up. So they had also a mean and median follower subscriber count for each platform, and then in the data set here, and it looks like there's a lot, at least according to this, there's a lot of people that are like on LinkedIn.
Yes. I mean, I have a
I'm like,
ton of
"Whoa."
people that follow me on LinkedIn. I don't know most of them.
Well, that's good because
Is it?
that's the point. You get an
Feel-
opportunity to reach another audience, right?
Yeah, I
And
guess. Yeah.
yeah, let me see. What is it? Like the key takeaway in terms of like cross-platform audience by show size that he said? He
Big
said,
shows have the largest non-podcast platforms, except for TikTok and YouTube, where bigger shows had huge audiences.
yeah.
That's interesting. Very
Um,
interesting. I mean, I
and
believe that too, because again, TikTok just feeds it to you.
it does. It is ridiculous how it
Also,
gets to be.
I noticed Facebook's not on here. That's strange.
That is strange. And you know what? It's really funny in there because he mentions there it's ridiculously hard to convert those followers into podcast listeners, which is true.
It is. That's true. It is
It's
true.
uh-huh.
Yeah, totally.
This is true.
You want me to
Um,
move on or no?
I think that we're gonna have to pick one more thing because we're gonna have to like wrap. I want to be able to talk through She Podcast Live. So
Oh, yeah, right. Okay.
let's look at. I kind of want to. Let me see. There's got to be. There's something about the money invested in marketing in here. I could say.
Oh,
Wait.
okay. Hold on. Let me find it.
I think it's
Um,
lower. By the way, you guys, while we're looking through all of these things and kind of futzing around, you really do need to look at this stuff. You really need to look at these numbers
mhm,
so that you understand where you fit in and what that looks like for you as you align your new goals, especially for 2024, and or not even new goals, but maybe iterate on some goals. So what are you looking to do with your show based
right.
on on some of this data? Mind you, it's still like a little bit over 500 people responded to this, which is still not a huge amount of people, but it really gives you an idea of what the reality is and what it takes to market and grow your show.
Yeah.
Did you find something super
No.
amazing? Oh, the
Nope.
monthly. Oh yeah, the monthly podcasting budget. Talk about that, Jess.
Yeah. So it looks like the bigger the show, the bigger the budget. Are we
Mm,
surprised? I hope not.
mm,
Total budget $500 a month for the smaller under 0% growth. They spent $99 a month. People who got about up to 20% have an overall budget of $700 a month, and they're paying at least 76 on marketing. Oh, see that? Okay, look
mm.
at that. Okay, wait a minute. I am reading this wrong. Let me go back.
Yeah.
Let me start at the top, okay? The largest shows have a budget of 1200, 25% of which is going to market. It says 29%, okay? 29% of which is going to marketing. The next highest level show, which is 21% to 100% growth, got a total budget of 750, and 20% of that goes to marketing. It's about 158. And then it goes on from there. So in other words, even though the smallest shows have 20% going to marketing, it's 20% of $500.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a lot. And uh they do say there's one high growth category that had a budget of 17,000 and it skewed the whole group. That's annoying. But without that show, everyone else mostly had a budget of 480, and even that is, some of it is like editing and stuff. So like, does that mean we need to invest more in marketing? I mean, what do you think?
I think it says that I like the fact that at the bottom he says, while there's no denying that having a budget can make it easier on the host, it's clearly not everything when it comes to growth. Right. So I think that, with all the conversations around AI and making things more streamlined and easier, there is a difference between having a tool that makes something easier for you to do and a plan.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you can do the things, like you can have a checklist and go check, 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 like wrote 5 social posts, made 3 reels, sent email.
Yeah.
Updated the thing, published episode, done, right? There's what are you doing though? Those are just tasks. It's like a task list, and great, you did it. Now what? Right? That now what is the part that you can't really know what that is until you sit down and you do the work around your show, your expectations around your show. How are you going to take inventory of the things that you've done and didn't do? How are you going to make decisions moving forward? What are you going to do if it's not working? Are you going to pivot? Are you going to, all those things, which actually, Jessica, this is a fantastic way for us to shift into our next conversation. This is exactly what I'm going to be having people do at She Podcast Live. So I have a session. It's called Podcast Kaigi, which is based on actually the journaling community that does something called Techo Kaigi, which is Techo means journal and Kaigi means meeting. And it's like a meeting with your journal in the journaling community. But we're going to be having a meeting with our podcast. So you just think of it as an opportunity for you to do this work, the work that we are just thinking about. Like, what is it that your goals are for next year, or not even next year, maybe just for like the first 3 months of the year, or maybe you want to work on April through July. Maybe it isn't just right out of the gate, but we're going to really think about what it is that you want to do. I'll have the prompts. You'll sit down and you'll write things down. So it is a working session where you get to work with in a room full of people who are be working alongside with you to be able to do this stuff, because ultimately no one knows really what you need to do with your podcast. And
including you. Ta-da!
Ta-da! So, and being able to test things out. I know for me, I've gone through this and I'm still like, it takes so much, like looking at your stats, making sure like, where are the people coming from? Should we do a little brand redo? Like, is there visually something I need to do? But also thinking like, okay, should I invest my time redoing my visual brand and or making sure people know they can hire me for coaching? Like, what's the most important thing? Do you want money in the bank right now? Or do you want to just look nice? Like, what's the next step that is going to get you the results that you want, and really questioning it for yourself. And also, I think the other layer for the way that I'm approaching this too is that it's not a lean back scenario. It's more of you need to think, do the work, and see how it aligns with your actual life, because that's another part that a lot of people don't really talk about. Do you have kids in the house that are tiny? Do you have tiny babies in the house? Do you have like, what's going on with your bandwidth in terms of the actual bandwidth, like the connectivity that you have? When do you have an opportunity? Do you have, show guests coming in to your show? Do you have older parents that are living with you now? Are you going to be having a move in, July, and you're going to don't know where you're going to be? Are you traveling at some point? Like, all of these things are life stuff that are the number one reason people pod fade. The life stuff.
Yeah.
Changes in your life. you're getting a divorce, you went through a breakup, you had a baby, you lost somebody in your life, you've lost your job, all of those big things are the things that stop you from podcasting. And I'm not saying you have to push through it, but you have to go in it with eyes wide open to be able to go, you know what? I'm not going to be able to do an interview show the way that I thought because I just don't have, I can't. So, okay.
It is the hardest one, by the way.
So what do you do? You know, like that's the point. Like, what do? Do you want to do some solo shows? Do you want to do 12 episodes instead of once a week and just do once a month? Do you want to get there's so many different, so those are the questions I would like to pose for you to think through. So when you leave She Podcast Live, you have at minimum put the seeds in your brain to start to move forward in the plans that you want for yourself in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, but I'm not the only one that's speaking. So you tell everybody else.
Tell what everyone else is speaking on. Perfect.
Yeah, all the rest of the things that are happening.
Yeah, and we're doing this just so you know, because this is actually our last episode of the year. Wah! So we'll be back in 2024. But before we do that, I desperately want to tell you about She Podcast Live Unplugged, as Elsie was saying. It's 6 different in-person workshops, hands-on workshops, not sessions, workshops. So, and not in this order. I have been promoting it in alphabetical order, not necessarily the order of the day. But Alana Bauman is going to be doing TikToks for Dummies 2.0. She has been killing it on TikTok with her podcast, She Well Read. And I can't wait to hear like all her little tricks. I will tell you, she has what's the word? Mentored me a little bit on TikTok, and she knows every strategy. She studies every trick, how the algorithm changes, everything. So you guys are going to get to learn all of that. And then let's see who comes next after Alana Bauman. I think it's you, Elsie. You just said what you were going to do, the podcast guy. And then we've got me. I'm next in line alphabetically. I'm actually going to do a session about how to be funny, how to be funnier. It is somewhat formulaic. You can mathematically, oh, I shouldn't have said math. I know, but like you can actually mathematically add comedy to almost everything you do, and it's appropriate, and it catches the eye, and it helps grow the audience. So I'm going to teach, we're going to do some joke writing, which believe it or not will really help your podcast. And then again, not in this order, Hillary Russo is going to do how to retrain your brain. So in other words, in the moment when you're in an awkward conversation, or if you're podcasting and, you know, like a lot of us talk to people who have sad stories or, you know, emotional, I want to say dumpage, but it's not as bad as all that because we're asking them to tell their story. But, you know, sometimes it can hurt our little souls in there. So Hillary is going to teach us how to bring ourselves back around so that into a positive mental health space. And she's actually starting the day with us, like doing a havening with us, getting in the right mindset and focus for like the whole weekend. So it's going to be great. Robin Sales, who's a professional speaker and, you know, business coach. She is going to talk to us about AI, how AI can amplify your podcast experience. And I mean, you know that if you've been listening here, that I play with AI a lot. But, you know, she says, think of the AI tools as a lineup of skilled musicians, each proficient in their own instrument, ready to harmonize and elevate your podcast. I love that. She's going to show us a bunch of tools and, you know, show us how AI can lift, you know, being organized, production, promotion, so that you can just focus right on the content and not the other stuff you don't like to do. So I'm excited about that. And then Stacy Sims is going to do Get Your Show Sponsored, Essential Steps for Any Size Show. And I was talking about her earlier. She is the badass that has her show sold out months and months and months and months in advance, even though she doesn't get usually more than about 300 downloads an episode. And it's because what you're really selling is not your show. What you're really selling is your audience. And so she's going to teach you how to highlight that as you're selling, as your product, you know, and it can be just your podcast audience, or it can be all that social media that we were just talking about, all the podcasters with their extra social media accounts, you can do everything. So she's going to share everything in 6 years of selling ads. You're going to create a pitch while you're there. So that's what we're going to be doing in person, hands on, while we're there. So I'm really excited. Also, the night before this mayhem is an opening party sponsored by Libsyn. And if you've been to our live shows before, you know that the opening Libsyn party is usually pretty fun and comes with glitter, flowers, and some other fun things to wear on your head, usually, which I love. And then after that day-long event, we're doing the Sonic Bloom Awards. And like we have, I forget how many categories, but we have finalists in all the categories, and we're going to be presenting them with awards for the Golden Mic, Icon of the Year, and best, what's the word? Industry helper. And I'm drawing a blank on all the categories, but if you want to see it, it's sonicbloomawards.com. And we're having the ceremony that night, and we're going to be all very bright colored and fancy. So we're really excited about that. And then, and then the next day is Podfest. So if you want to stay for Podfest, you can go to podfestexpo.com. But our website and where you should buy tickets for our show is shepodcast.com/SPL. Or if you have any questions, email info@shepodcast.com. We'll be happy to answer anything for you. The tickets are only $147. They are not expensive. There's nothing expensive about this trip. It's in Orlando, Florida. It's January 24, 25. In Orlando, Florida, right before Podfest. Go to shepodcast.com / I couldn't think of the word / SPL and check it out. And we're very excited to see you. Elsie will be there. I'll be there because we're teaching, and it's going to be really fun.
Yay!
Yay!
Woo-hoo! Right
on that note, I think we're going to close out the year with 413 episodes and a little bit of a bad attitude, if you don't mind.
All right, then.
Yep. So thank you guys so much. Patrick, thank you for coming to every recording. I love you.
Yes.
We'll miss you until we'll be back in January. We'll be back.
We have to bounce early. Happy
Yeah.
Merry Christmas,
I think we're
Cheryl.
going to be back on the 8th. I'm pretty sure. So we will see you back on the 8th, and have a wonderful, amazing, stress-free, peaceful holiday season. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to your family. And we'll see you next year. Love you.
Love you, Dad.
Bye. Okay, let me just hit stop and deal with this recording first, because John hates when I lose it. And I mean, I don't blame him. It's never good. Okay, yeah. Jess audio for John. There it is.
413, right?
What?
What's the number?
Yes.
413. Yeah. Okay. What was I going to tell you? Oh, so there's another podcast. You're going to it's, oh my God.
Should I end the stream or no?
No, we don't have to stay on the stream. So
okay. All right. Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye, guys.